Hi, Naomi. So
Hi.
we are here. Hi, we're here on Thousand Lashes, Lash Sisters Uncensored. So our podcast is really about bringing lash artists together in the community and really helping you guys feel less alone. And today our guest is Naomi, and she's had an amazing journey over the last couple of years. I would say, how many years has it been that you're
It's only been a year.
It's only been a year, and within a year, she's managed to accomplish quite a lot as a lash artist. So I'm hoping she can be an inspiration for you guys. And yeah, so let's get into it and talk to Naomi and for her to tell us her journey and how she started. So I want to know everything. Tell me
Thanks
from
for
the beginning.
having me. Um, yeah, I'm only a year in. Like I started last December, so just a little over a year. I
Uh-huh.
took online training and it was very, very difficult in the beginning. The online training I took just didn't cover things like humidity and temp,
Mm-hmm.
which was a
Mm-hmm.
huge part of why I did almost give up. I remember my first set took me 6 hours. And
Oh
they
my
left
goodness.
10 lashes only stuck to the actual lash. It
Uh-huh.
was awful. And so I did a lot of research and TikToks and Instagram, and I took extra courses. I remember in the beginning, I took a course with a thousand lashes, like the wispy one, and I
Mm-hmm.
probably was too early on to be taking an advanced course, but just the little things like in there, you catch on to something different from each training you take. So I definitely recommend
Absolutely.
it. Like
Thank
furthers
you.
their education all the time.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. So tell me, I kind of want to go back a little bit to your first training. Was it a classic training that you took?
I did a classic and a volume, two separate trainings.
Okay, got it. So it was both. It was both classic and volume. And, how long was it? Was it like a day? Was it a few hours? Was it recorded? Was it like live with the instructor?
No, it was all online and you just read. And
Okay.
if I'm being honest, I am like dyslexic. I was like diagnosed that as a kid. So reading just I can't learn from that. I need to see, I need to someone to talk to. So definitely like for me, I wouldn't recommend doing an online training where there's no like videos and like actual someone showing you what to do because that was
Hmm.
very hard for me. And it was only, I think I got through it in 5 hours.
Okay.
And then
So
I
you got
did.
through it, and it was both classic and volume. Is that right?
Well, two separate. So I did the classic one took me about five, maybe not even five, and then the volume was a totally separate one, but the same trainings, just two
Okay,
different.
got it. Okay. So, and then you really felt like there was a lack of information, like you didn't get a lot of information. Now, knowing what you know now, and you're only a year in, right? Do you feel like you were missing a lot of puzzles to the like puzzle pieces to the entire puzzle?
Yes, a
You were.
lot. I feel like the course really focused on sanitization, which is huge, and I'm huge about sanitization. But it
Mm-hmm.
was less about the actual application and isolating, which if you don't isolate properly, as like most lash artists know, it's like you're not going to keep your clientele because you're going to damage their lashes. It's going to be painful and it puts like a bad rep out there. So it didn't really focus on the isolation, just basically application, prep, sanitization, and then afterwards your sanitization. So I missed a lot.
Mm-hmm. So basically, the entire practical aspects of like application that you had to pretty much learn on your own, right?
Yes, exactly.
And
And I
how did you do?
oh,
How did you? I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What were you gonna say?
I started like I'm just a stay-at-home mom, so I started basically for like a hobby. I wasn't trying to do this as a business at that time, so I didn't
Mm-hmm.
mind sitting in my basement with a mannequin and just practicing and practicing and practicing. However, I wanted to give up many times.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's something that most lash artists struggle with. Like initially, when they take a training, even if it's a good training, sometimes it's just so difficult to really put all of that into practice and get it's frustrating, right? Because when the lashes don't stick, you're like, wait, what am I doing wrong? So tell me,
Crap. You
you
can't.
took the training and exactly. And how did you like did you start taking models right away or did you just practice in your basement like doing on a mannequin head?
I did foam pads, mannequin head, paper, but I do have a big support system around me, like family and friends. And I did start taking models for like $30, just product price. And actually, no, to be honest, I think my first four were free because I just wanted the practice and I just wanted to. So yeah, it was model based, very cheap, just to get
Uh,
people.
so $30. Okay. And tell me, after how many of those $30 models did you feel like, okay, I'm kind of getting this. I'm kind of starting to understand a little bit of what I'm doing. Like maybe I can do this. After how many models would you
I
say?
remember I made a story and I said, whoever wants in, you transfer me 30 and I'll get you in. And I did a total of 20 at $30. Yes.
20.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's really awesome. And after 20, how did you feel?
I felt, well, I finally figured out the humidity thing and what glues I needed. So that
Yeah.
was huge. And then I felt, wasn't like totally confident, but I knew that when people were coming, they were going to leave with lashes, not just a couple stuck on
Yeah.
there. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. At the very least, right?
exactly, like people were leaving and it looked full. It wasn't full, but at least there was all the way around, there was lashes.
Okay. So after about 20 models. And I think that's really important, because a lot of times like people students they take a class and they expect like okay I took a class like now where are my clients, right? Like why aren't they knocking on my door? Like what where are they? And it's I think it's really important that you mentioned that you actually did pretty much 20 sets for what 30 you said $30 was it
Yeah, I made nothing.
for so you pretty much broke even, right? Like you didn't really make any money on those
No.
clients. Uh, that's just part of it. It's expected, right? And so after about 20 clients, you felt like okay. And then when did you start raising your prices?
After the 20, I went up to
It-
$50. And I said to come in, like, no expectations. They can't be bringing me pictures of styles yet. Like, you come
Mhm.
in, I'm going to give you a set. And I was starting to get more confident at this time. So I was at $50 for probably like 15 more clients. And then I felt like I really was comfortable with isolation. That was a huge part that was getting me too, was I wasn't comfortable and I felt like I was taking 5 hours for these sets.
Yeah.
Like it was taking me a long time.
Yeah. And were you making your fans or were you using ProMaids?
I was using ProMades. I've only started in the last 4 months making all my own fans.
Okay. Okay. So even with ProMaids, it was still taking you 5 hours.
Yes. Like depends on the client because I know some people have way less lashes, so I want to say probably 4 to 5 hours for my clients.
Okay. Yeah. And that's expected, right? That's totally normal. And whenever I remember when my sister started lashing, it was the same thing. It would take her like 5 hours for such. It's like, how am I ever supposed to make money doing this? Like, this is ridiculous. I can take 1.5 clients a day or like 2 clients a day max at like $30. What is this nonsense? You know? So yeah, I totally get that. And but like those people that were coming, did you like advertise on Facebook? Did you advertise on to only your family and friends and your network? Like where did you find these models?
Instagram was my biggest. I have a Facebook, but I'm so bad for actually checking it. It just is connected to my Instagram. But yeah, I followed people like in the area. I don't have a big friend group, but I do have like family, and they were sharing my stuff. And like anyone who I did lashes on would like share my photos to their story. So it really like the word of mouth was like, and Instagram is what helped me.
Uh-huh. So Instagram was like your huge traffic, which is interesting, because a lot of times recently people are saying that like the algorithm and all of that stuff, and that like, you need to pay for ads. Did you try paying, or was it all organic?
No, I never paid for ads. It was all organic. However, algorithm is a huge thing and it does become a problem. So I do often go through my followers and remove a lot of people just because they're either just a sole supply based company, because then you get all
Yeah,
supplies and you get less of actual clientele.
exactly. Like the instruments, how many of those do we get? Like the people from the instruments, the tweezers manufacturers flood
Yeah,
your inbox with like and then what happens is Instagram actually ends up showing your post to those people, but they're not going to get lashes from you, right? so
this is
um so yeah, so that's a really good point, that you want to clean your Instagram so that your posts are only being shown to people that might actually buy your services, right? I think that's really important.
like a
So
lab.
that's amazing.
I used
Yeah.
to do those follow trains where you get a bunch of followers, and that was when I was
Mm-hmm.
the least booked up because it was
Yeah.
on followings.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, those follow trains, in fact, they can actually hurt more than they help you, because you end up with a bunch of, other lash artists all over the US and Canada or wherever, and they're not going to buy your services. So what's the purpose of having them in your followers? It's better to have less than to have like a big number.
Exactly.
So that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about, so it's only been a year, and I just want to kind of like go back and mention like this year, the 2024 has been a really tough year for a lot of lash artists. So the fact that you managed to get booked out, you do this full time now, right? Pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much full time.
You're pretty much full time. Within a year, you were able to go from a stay-at-home mom and doing this as a hobby, what kind of you started out as a hobby, to really making decent money and doing this full time. And that's incredible, because 5 years ago it was much easier because of various factors, but this year for lash artists it's been a little bit of a tough year. So the fact that you've been able to do this is absolutely incredible. What do you think is the biggest factor that contributed to that success?
I did want to elaborate on full time. Like I still am a stay-at-home mom, but I take
Hmm.
clients during like nap times and like in the evenings I take anywhere from 1 to 3. And on weekends I work all the time. So like my full time might be different than someone else's. However,
Hmm.
I found like listening to my clients' concerns is huge,
Hmm.
and just like word of mouth is so big, and your professionalism, and like I feel sometimes maybe I'm a little too nice in the industry, give a lot of discounts, which I mean I want to get better with that, but I am
So you give a lot of discounts. Do you feel like that helps to attract the clients that you want?
yes, because now I don't do it as much, but it was like an in the beginning thing. And I stand out from the competition in my area, which I'm told all the time by clients when they come in. I ask every time when a client comes, I say, what brought you to me? What made you notice me? And it's
Hmm.
either I was referred to you or you're just different than everyone in the area. And that's
Okay.
the main thing. I'm a lot different. Like the sets I do are a lot different. Like lots of times you see text doing volume classic, like a lot of the same thing, which is fine. Like that means that that's their niche and they love doing that. But I
Hmm.
love color and glitters and tinsel. And most of my clients don't get this stuff, but it attracts them to me just because they see something different. And my face is always on social media. And
Uh-huh.
I'm always, well, always, I'm not gonna hype myself up too much, but I try to talk on my stories a lot. And I
Uh-huh.
do have a good variety of clients with like anxiety
Uh-huh.
disorders. So seeing like a lash text page where they can only see lashes, they're nervous to book with them because they don't feel like they know you or who they're stepping in. Because I talk so much on social media, clients come in here and they feel like they know me already. They come in and say,
Mm-hmm.
your story about this, like that's so cool. And I think that helps too, is just showing your face.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think it's going to be more and more important going into 2025 and moving forward. People they just wanna they wanna connect with you before they even book, right? Like so, if you just have pictures of eyes on your page, like I mean, how does that differentiate you from the lash artist next door? It's but and what you said about color lashes, it's also something that, a lot of clients, they're like, okay, well, maybe I don't want color lashes tomorrow or today, but in the future, I know that she knows how to do it. So I'm going to have the option to do it later if I choose to do so, right? So I think that that's one thing that you have an advantage over other lash artists in your area, is that you're actually uh, diversifying your sets, which is pretty incredible considering it. Again, I just want to say that you've been doing this for a year. Just imagine what you can achieve in 2 years, in 3 years, like just the fact that you've been able to really get it going especially in this time, that it hasn't been that easy, right? So
Yes.
so basically, the fact that you talk on stories has been very helpful for you. The fact that you do color sets. What other sets do you do? You do wispy, you do volume, classic, hybrid, pretty much everything.
Hybrid, strip lash. I do. You'll see pretty much anything on my page. If it's a trend, I still put out promos for trends if I want to try something. Like
Uh-huh.
calico lashes right now. I just put out a promo if someone wants to set. It is discounted just so I can like keep up
Practice.
with the thing. And because color isn't always easy to work with and like placement and stuff. So I do like to just keep practicing because my normal clientele doesn't get these kind of sets.
Right, right, exactly. So, and then you get models, and then with those models, you get to do content, right? Because you put out videos, you put out pictures, and so that attracts more clients, right? So, and that's another thing. I think a lot of lash artists that just graduate there, or they just do a course, and they're like, okay, well, they expect that the clients are going to come and pay right away. But sometimes you just have to first show people what you can do, and then they're going to come and pay, right? And then you're going to attract clients that are going to want the sets that you offer. How's your support system? Like what you mentioned, you have a big support system. How have they been with you during this journey?
Like family, friends, like they're constantly sharing my stuff, which helps. And like I do ask because it helps me. And if you want to support me, I'm gonna say, hey, do you mind sharing this? Or and they're constantly referring me. And of course, my husband's my biggest support. He
Uh-huh.
watches the kids work this all the time.
That's awesome. That's wonderful. And you mentioned you work at home, right, in the basement. How do you do that? Like, how does that work? Because I remember when we started, actually, I don't know if you know this, but my sister was doing lashes in my basement, and at that time I had twins, and they were like, I think they were like two, but she was going crazy because like they were constantly running up the stairs, yelling, having a fit, throwing things, and you can hear everything, right? So she was like, how am I she was telling me, like, how am I supposed to charge like premium prices if your kids are like running around and like throwing things and like fighting or whatever. Like, how do you go around that aspect? Like, at some point, what I had to do is like, when I knew she had a client, I would like take them outside,
Yeah.
um and like just take them out of the house for a couple of hours. But yeah, I found that like very difficult. So how do you deal with that?
I'm lucky. I do. have a good setup. My clients always tell me, like, I never hear your kids. Are you sure you have kids? Because they know what kids are like. But I have a private entrance and my
Okay.
basement is under my bedroom. So from
Okay.
above, the only time you'll hear anything is if my husband's putting the baby to bed or walking around upstairs. That's the only time.
Okay.
So, or people might get greeted at the door because sometimes the kids sneak open the door to say hi. But when they're in
Okay.
my home studio, it's just separate from the house.
Okay. Okay. That's amazing. 'Cause you see, because I know a lot of lash artists that work from home or are planning on working from home that are moms and that have kids also have that question like, well, how am I going to make this work, with the kids? And so if you have a setup like yours, I suppose it can work. And then what do you do to provide your clients with not a, I wouldn't say a luxury experience, but like kind of like premium experience because you can do that from working from home, right? So how do you do that?
I I'm very picky on my lash bed. My huge part was when I'm taking 5 hours in the beginning is to prioritize my client's comfort. There's
Yeah.
nobody who wants to sit on a massage table for 5 hours. That's painful.
Yeah.
So I've been through lash bed toppers. I've been through two recliners. Um, I purchased memory foam that's like 3 to 6 inches thick, and that's a huge part. As people comment, like my bed is very comfy. They can fall asleep. And I do have a display shelf of like retail stuff and aftercare. At the beginning, I always provided my aftercare for free. However, that's again out of my pocket. So I do give small ones now, but there's luxury upgrades for clients.
Hmm.
And yeah, every client that walks in comes in and they've many of them commented on how just nice it is for a home salon. Like I have put a lot of effort into this room. We my basement was unfinished. I built the walls, I painted them, I painted my cement floor. Like I'm pretty handy, so I can take credit for that, but I've redone everything to make it a nice luxury looking space as well.
Uh-huh. And inviting and for your clients to feel comfortable. What do you do about do you have them listen to music? Do you ask them what they want to listen to? Or do you listen to something like a podcast when you're lashing?
So I actually send my clients a consent form, an online consent form, and in the box at the bottom it says, once I start lashing, I tend to go quiet. Let me know if you need me to walk you through your experience, because some people are nervous. And I
Mm-hmm.
ask what kind of podcasts and what kind of music they like. And if they don't mind, then I usually just play like a soothing music or like a TikTok playlist. It depends. I kind of, after I meet the client for the first time, this is when I can assess and I have a whole, on my iPad, I have a client section and that's where I'll write notes on like, usually they'll tell me I like country or I like this or that, and I will personalize the experience for them.
Wow. So that's incredible. I think that is a really good point. The fact that you really try to get to know your clients and really see what is it that they want, right? It doesn't matter if you like country, or if you like murder mysteries podcasts. If they don't like it, would you honestly make them listen to it for 2 hours, 2 hours and a half? So that's huge. What else do you do? What other kind of notes do you take on your clients?
The first session is usually a talking session. I mean, lots of people don't like talking sessions, but I like to get to know my clients. I like to learn if they're also a mom or what they do for work. And I take a lot of notes on this stuff so I can personalize it to them. And I do another thing. I check in on my clients after 3 days, everyone. Ask them if they
Uh-huh.
like, and if they don't, I have a 72-hour policy where people can come back for touch-ups for free if they don't like it. So this is how I've had clients come and say they didn't like their set, but they were too nervous to tell their lash tech. Before my
Mm-hmm.
clients, I always tell them, like, if you don't like it, please tell me. I want to make it so you love them. You're paying, like, I've up my prices to what I'd say is my level, and I want to make sure that they love them.
That is incredible. Honestly, just those two things alone, like, is probably one of the it's incredible. It makes you probably retain a lot of your clients because it's exactly what you said. A lot of people will not feel comfortable messaging you and telling you like I don't like my lashes or I just didn't like the style. And so if you check in with them, uh, it gives them an opportunity to speak up, right? And are they like most lash artists? I would say probably are not doing this, and if they're not, they should start because that will really increase the retention of your clientele, right? And
Yeah,
it's all about retention. Go
it
ahead.
is the the environment too. I find just providing that safe and positive environment is huge where they feel comfortable enough to open up. Like if you get them here, tell them to lay down, shut your eyes, and don't talk to them. Play what music you want to play. Don't check in with them. They're probably not going to come back.
Yeah. Or they might if your work is really good, but you will
Yeah,
definitely
exactly. If your
lose.
work is good, they'll. Some people enjoy that quiet too. Some people don't want to talk. I've had clients like that too.
Yeah. But again, if your work, and then that's something that, if you're a beginner, obviously your work is not going to be like amazing initially, right? Like it's going to be okay. But the thing is, if you provide an incredible experience, the client is not going to care that there's a few lashes that are like a little bit not perfect in the perfect direction, or you didn't finish the inner corners perfectly. Like they're going to give you a chance and they're going to come back again and again and again because they like you as a person, right?
Other part,
Versus
owning,
if you're
owning
kind of
up.
like, sorry.
Sorry, also owning up to like if you have an issue or you didn't hit their inner corners or if you were struggling because they're curly, just owning up. Like just tell your client that like I'm not like something I don't love about this that I couldn't get your inner corners. If this bothers you, like we'll really concentrate on it when you come for your fill. I'll have more time to really worry about these things. Or if they're really teary-eyed, I always let them know kind of if I've made a mistake or if I don't love the set, like they're probably not gonna fully
Yeah.
100% either if there's an issue I've noticed.
Exactly. But I find from my what I've noticed is that a lot of times lash artists are harder on themselves than clients are on them, right? Because clients don't necessarily notice these types of things, like even myself, like when my sister does my lashes, I'm just happy to get lashes. Like it's fine that you just like don't even want to work with them. But most clients are pretty understanding, right? And like it's like you
They're just
said, they're just happy to have lashes than no lashes, right? Like I'll take it. If it's not perfect, okay. But and then tell me something, how do you set client expectations? So for example, like if you have a client that has like really weak short lashes or like really like lashes that you feel like are not going to do work amazing no matter what, like they're not going to look beautiful like perfect no matter what because there's gaps, or what, like how do you like communicate expectations with clients like that?
I have a lot of displays in my room where I've lashed foam and I have displays of if you have one layer, two layer. I also have displays of styles. So say they have short or sparse lashes, a classic set isn't going to look good, and I'll show them that. I think the visual helps a lot of people just because
Uh,
I didn't understand. I used to get lashes all the time. I never understood what a hybrid was. So just having those visuals for them.
so you have like pictures of a hybrid set, or do you have like actual like lashes on a foam pad?
Lashes
You
on
have,
the foam. Yeah.
oh, I see. Okay, and then they're able to see. Okay, I might want that, or I might want this. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's a great idea, actually. How about like a book that allows you to like flip through, and they're like, oh, I want this style or this style, or do you do that on like an iPad or something?
I I just got the lash mapping book from Thousand Lashes, and I haven't really got to dive into it much yet,
Mm-hmm.
but lots of people come with photos, and if I'm trying to show them something, I'll look it up on my phone too, just to show them quick what I mean. But usually
Mm-hmm.
my foam pad displays do help.
Really
Most of them, I
well.
don't find any
Okay.
questions to show them those.
Okay, good, good, good. Like I find that lash clients over the last like 3, 4 years, I have found they're becoming more and more educated. Like they'll come to you with like the curls that they want, the diameters that they want, the what they're like they're more educated than the lash artist. You're like, wait, what? Like, where'd you hear this? Like TikTok. Um, but yeah, like in the past, I remember like when my sister was just starting to do lashes, clients would just come and they would just be like, yeah, I don't know what curl, like do whatever you think. But now clients are more educated and they know what they want basically.
Yeah, and a lot of
um
lash, when you actually lash a lash tech, that's another. That's always
yeah,
nerve-wracking.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, it is, right? It absolutely is. It's so funny that you say that. It's like when I remember when I was a nurse, if I would get like a patient that was a nurse also, like an older nurse or like a doctor, I would get so nervous because I'd be like, oh my God, they're judging me. They like I felt so exposed. Like I was like, oh my God, I have to like do this like perfectly, like I'd be so like stressed out.
Seriously, and that's like you don't want your hands to shake, but sometimes like, you get very nervous, and
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
like,
yeah. No, they
promise I'm
know. Exactly. Tell me what's next for you? Like, what are your goals for next year, the following year? Like, what are you hoping to achieve? Do you want to stay in lashing? What do you want to do?
well, currently right now I offer like a couple other services, and I definitely want to get more training and offer even more services. My
Mm-hmm.
5 year goal is to build myself a shed and
Mm-hmm.
work at the shed and not go into a salon.
Mm-hmm.
And also another goal I have for myself is like don't be so hard on myself. Don't compare myself to others because that's one way you can really bring yourself down and just not want to do this, which I went through a patch of that last year. Like, why does my work not look like this? Or why am I struggling? So just having that good energy and not comparing myself. But
But
I
you're
want
amazing. Within the year, you accomplished so much. Like, it's incredible what you've been able to accomplish.
to thank you for that. I do. The hobby, I think, more fun to do it. So I do really enjoy lashing. But
You
the
do,
economy
huh?
is high, like
Yeah.
not very great. So offering services with a little less
You're
price value,
you're in Alberta.
Manitoba,
Are you located in Alberta? Manitoba, yeah, Manitoba. And how is the economy there?
awful. No one can, like lots
Awful,
of
right?
people do say I can't afford it, and it's like that's okay. You don't have to
Hmm.
come like when you want them or need them for an event, you can come to me. I don't expect you to come back for fills. Like some people just do it like once in a while for a birthday,
Yeah.
but the economy is awful.
Well, it says something about you, the fact that you've been able to accomplish this, even though, despite all the things, such as like lack of a proper training in the beginning, a bad economy, all of those things, you've been able to accomplish all of this despite that. So I think that's going to be a really big inspiration for a lot of beginner lash artists that are just starting out and they're like, oh my God, maybe this is not the best time for me to learn lashing. Maybe I won't make it. Maybe there's not enough clients. And the truth is, if you put 100% of your effort into this, as much as anything else, you'll make it. Like you'll make it work, right?
Exactly. Just, keep practicing, keep posting. Social media is going to be huge. Put your all into it. I know sometimes people get too many services and then say lashing doesn't seem to be popular. They'll put their energy into a different service, which I don't
Mm-hmm.
but you're 100% in all of them.
Yeah, exactly. 100% on all of them. And you can add other services. I think that's fine. Like lash lifts are becoming really, really popular and it's an easy service to add. And you can make very decent money even with lash lifts on top of lash extensions as well. So I think that's, that's great. Um, well, yeah, I guess that's pretty much all the questions. And I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I think
So
honestly,
much for having
yeah,
me. So happy
for,
to be here. I hope at least this reaches a couple people and like make sure that they keep trying and not giving up because I mean, we've all been there. So you're not alone. And I want everyone to know that.
and you're basically an example of someone who can succeed when a lot of things, obstacles are in your way, and you still manage to succeed despite that, which I think is amazing. So I really hope that a lot of lash artists are able to kind of get inspired from that, you
I hope
know?
so too. Hope to work.
Awesome. Very excited with what's in store for you in the next upcoming years. And yeah, so thank you so much for joining, for being on the podcast, and we will speak soon.
So much.
Have a good rest of your day.
You
All right.
too.
Bye.